Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to tear down the mystery of building lasting wealth. It's not some secret code or some lottery win. It's actually a system, a practical path that really anyone can follow. So let's jump right in.
This is the big question, right? It's something that so many of us wonder about. What is the real difference between someone who achieves financial freedom and someone who's always just getting by? Is it about being a genius, having a fancy job, or is there something else going on?
Well, here's the truth. Building real wealth, it's not about luck. It's about having a system, a clear, repeatable process. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to walk through the 4 essential pillars of that exact system.
But before we even start, we got to get one thing crystal clear. This is a long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to have patience, you have to have discipline, and you got to keep your eyes on the horizon, not just what's happening tomorrow.
All right, let's dig into our very first and honestly our most important pillar, your mindset. Because before you make a single investment or open a new account, this part, the psychological framework, has to be absolutely solid. If it's not, none of the other stuff is going to work.
So what does a wealth-building mindset actually look like? Well, first off, you have to accept that financial knowledge is everything, not just for making money, but for keeping it. Second, you have to genuinely believe that this is possible for you. Third, you got to master delayed gratification. That means when you get a raise, you're thinking about your future first, not just a lifestyle upgrade. And finally, and this is so important, you have to trust yourself. You are the CEO of your own money. Nobody is ever going to care about it more than you do. Getting this mindset right is the compass that will guide every single decision you make from here on.
Okay, so once that mindset is locked in, we can move on to pillar 2, building your financial foundation. I want you to think of this like building a launch pad, right? Before you can even think about shooting for the moon, you need a solid, stable base to push off from.
So here are your first 2 missions. And listen, these are non-negotiable. Step 1, build a small emergency fund, say $2,000. This is your cushion. It's what stops a flat tire from turning into a full-blown financial crisis. As soon as that's done, you go on the attack against all high-interest debt. I'm talking about credit cards especially. That kind of debt is like a hole in your boat. You have to plug it before you can go anywhere.
And it is so critical to understand that not all debt is created equal. Bad debt, like credit cards or a fancy car loan, charges you insane interest for stuff that loses value. It is an absolute wealth killer. But good debt? That can be a strategic tool. It's a low-interest loan you use to buy an asset that can actually grow in value or boost your income, like a smart mortgage or an education loan. One literally holds you back, the other can help push you forward.
Now let's talk fuel, because all the best investment strategies on the planet don't mean a thing if you don't have money to invest in the first place. A strong, steady income isn't just nice to have, it is the absolute fuel for your wealth engine.
And this table just shows it perfectly. Just look at these 2 scenarios. The first person gets this incredible 100% return, but it's on a pretty small amount of capital. Yeah, they doubled their money, but it's not life-changing. Now look at the second person. They got a more realistic return, but because they focused on building a high income and had way more to invest, their final result is just astronomically better. So what's the big takeaway here? In the early days, how much you save is so much more important than your rate of return.
So how do you make sure you're saving enough? You create a system. A simple one is the 75-15-10 plan. It's easy. For every dollar that comes in, a maximum of 75 cents is for spending. A minimum of 15 cents goes straight to investments, and a minimum of 10 cents goes into savings. What this does is it forces you to pay yourself first. It basically automates your wealth building.
The secret to making a plan like that actually work is just getting really honest about the difference between needs and wants. A need is a basic phone so you can communicate. A want is the brand new iPhone. A need is reliable transportation to get to work. A want is a luxury car. Especially when you're starting out, being ruthless about focusing on your needs and just putting off the wants for a little while, that is how you free up the cash to really fuel your engine.
Okay, so the foundation is built. Now we get to the really fun part. Let's move to pillar 3, making your money work for you. This is where we make the big shift, from just saving money to putting that money to work in the growth engine we call investing.
Look, smart investing is not gambling. It's a game of principles. You want to focus on things that can grow, like stocks or real estate, and invest in businesses that you actually understand. Look for assets that can pay you while you sleep. That's passive income. And always diversify. But maybe the most important thing is to think like an owner of a business, not some frantic day trader. The goal is long-term growth, not a quick score.
If all the noise from Wall Street and the financial news ever gets to be too much, just bring it back to this one simple idea. At the end of the day, all successful investing really is buying good things for less than what they're truly worth. That's the whole game right there.
And to really get a feel for the power of investing over time, you need to know about the Rule of 72. It's this awesome little mental shortcut. All you do is take the number 72 and divide it by your annual rate of return. The answer you get is roughly how many years it'll take for your money to double. Simple as that.
So let's make that real. If you can average a 12% return per year, which, by the way, is pretty reasonable historically for the stock market, your money is going to double every 6 years. Just let that sink in. Every 6 years, your wealth doubles, and you didn't have to do anything extra. This is how you go from just saving money to making money. You turn your capital into a little army that works for you 24/7.
And that brings us to our final pillar, playing the long game. This is all about playing both defense and offense. The defense is about protecting everything you've built. And the offense, well, that's about unleashing the most powerful force in all of finance, time itself. This classic line from Warren Buffett, this is the absolute foundation of preserving your wealth. Because mathematically, a huge loss is just devastating. It takes so much more effort to get back to even. So avoiding those big mistakes is just as important, maybe even more important than chasing some huge gain.
And that protection, it goes way beyond just the stock market. It means having the right insurance so one catastrophe doesn't wipe you out. It means having a will or a trust so that you get to decide what happens with your money, not some court. As you start to build wealth, putting up these kinds of protective shields is just not optional.
Okay, now for the offense. They say Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. And you know what? He was right. It's that magic that happens when your earnings start making their own earnings. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and faster, all on its own.
And nothing, I mean nothing, shows the power of compounding quite like this. A single, one-time investment of 10 grand, made at age 22, earning a 10% return, becomes almost $600,000 by retirement. But look at the numbers. The growth in the early years is slow, but in the later years, it's just explosive. That's the snowball effect, right there.
So what's the real price you pay for waiting? Well, if that same person just waited 1 decade, from 22 to 32, to make the exact same investment, the difference at retirement is a jaw-dropping $360,000. Time isn't just a factor in building wealth. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful ingredient you have. So, there you have it. That's the system. It starts with the right mindset, then building a solid foundation, firing up your growth engine, and finally, playing the long game. The most powerful force in finance is literally on your side, waiting for you to use it. The only question left is, what's your first step going to be?